Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Square the Circle music channel. It's me again, your old pal Mage. Here we are again this morning, talking about Tinkle tunes. It's been a while. I've got a couple of stories to tell you. Fun play on words. This is going to be an episode dedicated to two of my favorite ambient, instrumental, and piano-centric artists, the Stories. And ironically, these two are not related. They are not married, they are not cousins, they just happen to have the last name of Story. First story being told is a wonderful jazz pianist, kind of experimenting with the, I guess what you could call new wave of jazz that happened in the mid to late 70s, and was kind of, coupled and kind of, mixing up with that kind of like new age sound. But this lady still kept it real cool with the old school kind of jazz roots of it all, and it's all just solo for piano. It's called Solid Colors by Liz Story. I believe she was born sometime in the mid 50s, and grew up and came into adulthood like in the 70s, and was really kind of involved in that cool hippie counterculture kind of thing. But she went to Juilliard and was Juilliard educated in the piano and many other instruments, I'm sure, and really took flight in, like I said, the kind of jazz community and what was going on, and gained some notoriety, and ended up doing some recording sessions, and sent her tapes off to William Ackerman, the co-founder and creator of Windham Hill Records, and he just fell in love with her. I mean, who couldn't? Amazing pianist, and obviously a very gorgeous woman. And yeah, her piano subtlety and everything she does, like I said, accentuated with really great jazz hands, and her chops are amazing, but still so just kind of like atmospheric and soft and beautiful. Really adore everything she did on that label, and I'm sure she had many things beyond the Windham Hill years, as far as like her career expanded into the 80s and 90s, well after the Windham Hill label had kind of ceased to be. But yeah, what a fantastic artist. She's so great. So everybody check especially this album out, Solid Colors, Piano Solos by Liz Story. Based in and around California, I believe San Diego, something like that. Southern California gal. But yeah, she's just fantastic. I'm sure she's probably still playing. She's probably in her 60s and still killing it, I'm sure. So everybody check her out. She's magnificent. And again, like I said, two stories to tell today. Maybe a little bit more famous than Liz. But talking about Tim Story. Again, not related. They just have that name. And it's funny, they just kind of ironically are both kind of like slipped into that same kind of category as far as just instrumental and ambient music. But this gentleman being a lot more in the realm of the electronic and experimental side of everything. Began obviously with like experimenting with synthesis and all kinds of other acoustic instruments, as well as his piano playing. But this is a recent reissue of one of his very first major release. It's called Threads. I've talked about this before. It's just fantastic, and it, like I said, really just kind of goes into that kind of, it's his real just like entry into the world of popular music, and you kind of gain that sense of like it being kind of like a freshman kind of like tiptoeing into unknown territory, or like kind of icy waters or whatever. You get a little bit of that sense, and he talks about it in the ledger notes how some of this stuff, like is kind of experimental and kind of, I would say regurgitative of just a little bit of kind of what the more popular artists of that era were doing. I'm talking, early 70s, well, excuse me, kind of more mid 70s. So you get tinges of like Brian Eno, and you get tinges of like Japanese minimalism and stuff like that, stuff that he really was inspired by and loved and adored. And so he talks about that in the ledger notes and how he just feel it may have been just a little bit contrived. But us listeners, I mean, I don't feel that. I don't feel like it's anything that would be construed as what's the term I'm looking for? Derivative, I guess. It doesn't feel derivative to me. It still feels like unique, and you can just tell he's just a kid, and he's just kind of like fresh out of, probably just dropped out of college and just decided this is the kind of thing that he wanted to pursue. And good thing, because he continued to make lots of wonderful music all throughout the late 70s and early 80s, and just really nailed it. He did a lot of work for film, a lot of, like what Brian Eno was doing in the 70s and 80s, and like doing art installations and, incorporating and working in tandem with like, artists and productions like that. And he's continued to do that. The guy is kind of like super independent. He did release he released some on Windham Hill, I believe. But beyond his releases on Windham Hill, I think there was only one or two. One was called like stained glass stories or something like that. I'll have to look into it again. It's a great album. But I think he did one or two releases for Windham Hill, but then has just remained to be like a solo independent artist. And honestly, there's not a lot of information out there in the world about him. He doesn't have like a fucking Wikipedia page. He doesn't have anything like that. So he's just killing it on his own. He's still making music. Not sure exactly, what he's doing beyond just kind of like allowing these re-releases, reissues of his stuff, but really intriguing, really cool shit. But yeah, it's like I said, it's similar to what I was just talking about with Liz's story as being piano-centric, but this guy gets way more deep into the synthesis and the electronic aspect of the art. Where in Liz's story, it's just all acoustic solo piano. So, but those are my stories, and I'm sticking to them. I sure do love them. So everybody check out both Liz's story and Tim's story, and all of the wonderful stuff that they have given the musical community over the last 3 or 4 decades. Incredible artists. I wanted to feature them today on my Tinkle Tunes episode. So I hope everyone else is having a sunny day. Here comes spring again. Everything's starting to pop. So keep it green, keep it clean. I love you guys, and peace be with you.